It's a glorious day in the world of tone. I am sitting next to one of the most iconic amplifiers ever made by one of the greatest builders of all time, the man himself, Howard Alexander Dumble. I have next to me a Dumble Overdrive Special number 22. We are here with our friends over at Techno Empire in Burbank, California. Sitting with me today to help me just show the greatness of this amp is my good buddy Gabriel Bergman. Welcome.
I'm excited.
Yeah, Gabe's excited. If you can't tell from his face.
This is a huge moment for me.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to show you what makes this amp fantastic and spectacular. I've played many Dumbles. Gabe has played many Dumbles. And I have to say, this may be the best sounding one that I have ever heard. I really want to get immediately into the playing. You're holding a Les Paul.
My Les Paul, pretty standard, 59 reissue from 2012.
And we're also going to be cycling through several different guitars to just give you an idea of what this thing is capable of. We have a Stratocaster, we have a Telecaster style guitar. Also, we're using a really abbreviated pedal board, and we are using the effects loop. We're using a solid state version of a Dumbulator to be able to drive some of the signal into a delay and reverb without any of the ordinary tone loss of having a passive effects loop like most Dumbles have. And so we're going to be using a little bit of delay and reverb from our friends over at Strymon. And we're also going to be using the Vertex Boost, which is an approved Dumble pedal from our friend Robin Ford, who said it's the only pedal that actually makes the Dumble sound better when running in front of it. So without further delay, Gabe, what do you think is a good sound? We have kind of everything roughly at noon as far as EQs are on. All of the toggle switches are in the off position or the down position.
We are on the guitar.
We're on the guitar.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only up position, but everything else is pretty flat on the EQ section. Overdrive and level for the overdrive are about 11 o'clock, and master is at 11 o'clock as well. So it's working, but it's not overly powerful for where we're sitting.
So what do you think is a good sort of first thing to start people out with to kind of get a sense of what this sounds like? What do you want to play?
Well, the first thing is instantly a Robin Ford thing, and that is the melody of Revelation.
Oh.
So check this out. We'll put in the timeline, go to the overdrive channel.
Gabe, some incredible playing.
Thanks.
You, of course, always do a wonderful job
Thanks.
sort of encapsulating the Robin Ford vibe, and the amp certainly sells the tone.
Yeah.
So we've heard it a little bit overdriven. I'm wondering if maybe we could dial it back to just a straight, clean sound. Mm-hmm. And one song that I know we're both a big fan of, it's been covered by Robin Ford, it's been covered by Michael Landau, it's been covered in their collaboration Renegade Creation.
Yes.
the song Worried Life Blues. And I think that's a really great example of being able to get nice, clean articulation, having some nice kind of rhythm sounds, some nice chording, and some single notes mixed in there. And I think that this will be nice to hear what the Strat does, just kind of as a juxtaposition to the Les Paul. How do you feel about maybe moving into the FET here, just to give it a little bit more output, since there's going to be a difference just in the pickup output between these two?
That'll definitely, how do you say, maybe boost the Strat up a bit.
Yeah, give it a little bit more life. And EQs and everything the same on this?
All the same.
All right, let's trade guitars.
Let's do it.
And give us a little Worried Life Blues. That was a great example of Worried Life Blues. Again, kind of gives us an idea of some single notes and some sort of more rhythm kind of chords and stuff like that.
And the lower part of the fretboard.
Definitely the lower part of the fretboard, and of course a Strat, very dissimilar from the Les Paul. I want to stay on, however, some other examples of some clean playing and maybe switch to another single coil guitar that many of us may own, a Telecaster style instrument.
Yes.
And stick with some of the Robin Ford style stuff. Now, you and I are big fans of Robin, and he did a video with us several years ago on our Vertex Boost. It really helped sell a lot of pedals. And one thing he said about the Boost is it was one of the few pedals that really worked well into the front of a Dumble Overdrive. Sort of notoriously not great as a pedal platform.
No, not a pedal platform.
And so he plays a little lick in the introduction of that video, which is just this great sort of single note thing, and it just shows how three-dimensional the clean channel is. And I know that you learned that note.
Oh, yes, I did. I watched that video many times.
So let's trade this guitar. I want to take this one back. I'll hold the Strat, and let's get you a Tele, and let's have you play a little bit of that, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
All right. So that was some beautiful, articulate, clean playing, of course, as we would expect from an amplifier of this pedigree.
Yeah.
But knowing that this is a 70s Dumble amplifier and one of the most notable players of the 70s Overdrive Specials was none other than the late, great David Lindley.
Yes.
So I think it would make sense to maybe pay homage to him and maybe do a little Running on Empty. Now, he, of course, was not using a standard guitar when he was playing that, but I think you've worked up an interpretation of it on your Les Paul.
Yes.
So maybe we'll do a little Les Paul switch using the overdrive section of the amp.
Overdrive section of the amp, and we'll push it a bit with the Vertex Boost.
Right, because it should be noted that some of the later Dumbles did have the ability to boost either by bypassing the tone stack. This doesn't have that, so we're going to use the boost to kind of add a little bit more level to push a little bit harder to get that extra gain.
Yeah.
Such a iconic solo. You really sold it well on a Les Paul. Not exactly where you would expect to hear it played, but you know the sustain of those notes. Like normally to get that amount of sustain out of an amplifier, you have to have the amplifier so loud or have on some sort of compressor this thing has so much sustain and so much clarity at the same time. And we're not like blisteringly loud right now.
Oh, no.
It just absolutely takes over the room and just sounds so beautiful. I love that arrangement.
I mean, if you look at the amp, overdrive is only about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we're only scratching the surface of what this could do. And of course, we were pretty much, again, all at noon on the EQ. So if you're hearing this, you're like, oh, I wish it had a little bit more brightness. I wish it had a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
We're not even messing with any of the toggle switches or any of the sliders or any of the EQ controls. So you can certainly make this your own if you're finding that you want a little bit more of any of the EQs that we've got set up.
This is an amplifier that I'm sure a lot of you know, when you dive into it, will take a lot of tweaking, but this specific one, everything at 12 o'clock is perfect.
So I want to stick with another higher gain, a little bit juicier overdrive tone example, which is the Robin Ford classic Politician. Now, if you were early to the gear page like I was as a teenager, you probably remember the guy Tag, who was one of the first people on the gear page to own a Dumble. And whenever he would go and demo a Dumble or Dumble style amplifier, he would always play Politician. So as a kid, I always thought like, oh yeah, that's the quintessential song that you put on. Just like when you go to a hi-fi shop, people used to just put on Donald Fagen's Nightfly because that was the gold standard for mixing. So I want to hear what that sounds like with the Les Paul. Are we going to go same settings on this?
Same settings.
Same boost?
Same boost settings.
Okay.
And that'll give us a tone, I think.
All right, let's hear it. So that was the amazing Dumble Overdrive Special, serial number 22. It is not even in the Dumble Book.
No, I've checked.
All right, we have the Dumble Book here, right? Does somebody have the book? Can we get the book? Thank you.
Yeah.
So Dumble Book, right, has all of the recorded history of all the serial numbers that are known of the Dumble amplifiers. This amplifier is not in there.
No, we've checked.
We've checked. It skips from 21
to 23.
To 23. There is no 22. This is a highly, highly sought after Dumble Overdrive Special. It is not labeled Overdrive Special. It just says Dumble on it. There's a one owner from Dennis Herring. And I have to say, of all the Dumbles that I've played, and I've played almost a dozen of them, this is by far the very best one that I've played so far. It is absolutely astonishing.
Really a great amp. Very much think before you play. If you play good, it accentuates that. If you play bad, it accentuates that. And just very privileged to be here today to film this video.
Gabe, thank you again for being our demonstrator for this amazing
invite.
Amp. And would you play a little something just to kind of help us fade out the video today?
Let's do it.
All right.